All right, we gotta let it breathe while we bring in the Facebook groups. All right, gotta wait for the Facebook groups to get in here. And waiting, and waiting. There's one, there's two. Welcome into another episode of the Valley Divers. I'm your host, Erick, and joining me on this post-Thanksgiving Friday night is the one and only Lance Sanderson. Lance, I know you're a bigger fan of Thanksgiving than I am. It's not my favorite holiday, and I've made that clear. How was your Thanksgiving? Mine was pretty decent, but, still not a big fan of the holiday. So how was yours?
It was good, man. My parents came into town. It's the first time they got the opportunity to come and spend a Thanksgiving with me. It's my favorite holiday. So and a big part is the family aspect, just to get everybody together. Samantha likes to do Thanksgiving at our house so that we can stay home and have all of our own leftovers and everything like that. We don't have to travel, do anything crazy. Whoever can come can come. And my parents finally got the opportunity to come this year. So got to spend a great Wednesday evening and Thursday for the majority of the day with my parents. My brother and my sister and a brother-in-law came up. We had it was great, man. I mean, I smoked a turkey. We did 2 more in the roaster pans just for leftovers with my living situation. The extra people I have in my house right now, leftovers are a premium. So cooking time is also a premium, but it was good. It was a good long day. Little sick this morning. I'm not sure what I got into. Maybe a couple too many of the adult sodas, but it was a good day. Today sucked. It was a bad day today, but it was. I mean, at least we're getting ready to talk about Broncos football and get into this great sports weekend. I mean, college football all day tomorrow. Great slate of Sunday games. Broncos play Sunday night football in Washington. So excited to be here, dude.
Yeah, you forgot the best part of the day yesterday, right? I can't call them what I normally call them because we're on the air and not get in trouble, but the Cowboys beat the Chiefs. That's the best thing of Thanksgiving this year, right?
Yes, absolutely, dude. I mean, anytime you can see the Chiefs lose on Thanksgiving and keep the Broncos in the 1 seed in the AFC West, like it was a good win for Dallas. They played a really good game. Kansas City has a lot of flaws, and they may not even make the postseason this year. And I hope that when the Broncos play in Arrowhead on Christmas Day, that's the game that knocks Kansas City out of the playoffs completely.
Yeah, and not only that, Josh Simmons, their left tackle, he got hurt. It seems like he's headed to injured reserve, which would, if he does, it would cause him to miss the Broncos game. I don't know what they'll do because they'll have no one else to hold on that offensive line going forward. So that's something to keep in mind. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Broncos, and we have a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to get into some of the extensions. We're going to get into the game that's coming up. There's a lot that we're going to get into. But Lance, one thing I am so thankful for this year, going back just a step towards Thanksgiving, is I am thankful that the Broncos are no longer the underdogs so consistently.
Yeah, guys, speaking of underdogs, Underdog Fantasy presenting sponsor of the show tonight. Football season is in full swing, guys, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. You guys ready to get off the bench and into the game? Then head over to Underdog. Whether you're into basketball, football, hockey, any sport in between, Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action all season long. And it's that time again, guys. Feast Week is back on Underdog from November 26th through November 30th. Check the app daily for special promos.
That's right. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, receptions, sacks, so much more. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash.
Yeah, guys, I have a lot of fun playing on Underdog because you can build like crazy 8-leg parlays and win a whole bunch of money. I hit one a couple of weeks ago and won about $400. So that was pretty cool. But guys, winning money while you're watching football, that's a touchdown. Download the Underdog app today and sign up with promo code MHuddle to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, guys, promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars making picks on Underdog. Will you be next?
18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
And thank you, Underdog, for the sponsorship. We appreciate that. Before we continue on, we're going to say hello to some people here in the chat, including David McIlrath, the Papa Bear, with a $2 super chat, as well being a member over on YouTube. He's saying, "Good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag 13 and 4 plus 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 plus. And Blex test prep is here to party. That would have should have been yesterday. Thanksgiving. That's a day to party. We have Mike Ronquillo saying, "Good evening, Eric and Lance on the Dove Valley Deep Divers. Go Broncos." Denver Luke coming in saying, "Good evening, boys. I'd love to see Denver beat the Commanders by at least 14. They are not a good team." No, they are not.
No.
Michael Davis saying, "Evening, fellas." We have Daniel Barris Sports Highlights saying, "Happy Friday. Hello, guys." Hello to you as well. Hope everybody in the chat had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you guys celebrate, I know not everybody does, because not everybody is in the States, right? So hope you guys had those of you who don't celebrate Thanksgiving, hope you guys had a wonderful Thursday. We have Michael Davis coming in saying, "Pressure Mariota in the win. He's prone to mistakes when the pocket collapses. Even when pressure is not getting there, he's still prone to mistakes." Right, Lance?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the big things. So I went back and watched the game against Miami in Madrid the other day, and the one thing that you absolutely notice about Marcus Mariota is when he's playing on time and delivering the football to his first read specifically, especially over the middle of the field, he looks like a capable quarterback. He actually there's accuracy there. He allows his receivers to have yards to an opportunity for yards after the catch. It looks like a competent offense. But when he hits the top of his drop and he doesn't release the football and pressure comes even just a little bit, his mechanics get bad. He drops his eyes. He's looking at the rush. He's trying to find escapability run lanes and stuff like that. The offense really starts to clunk down for them when he has to get to his second and third reads in the progression. It's one of the more fascinating things that I noticed. Second of all, though, the second thing that I noticed, this team can run the football, and Chris Rodriguez is a dude. Like, that guy is Eric. I know you're going to get into this here in a second, but Chris Rodriguez and what he's capable of doing as a runner, he's very physical. He's got great contact balance and good vision. So when they do open up running lanes, they actually do have really good success running the football and then setting up some play action stuff for Mario to hit over the middle of the field.
Yeah, we'll definitely get more into the Commanders game here in a little bit. Going to continue saying hello to some people here in the chat. Ernie May saying, "Go Broncos country, only Sunday night. We go 10 and 2. Hello, Lance and Eric." Peter Milton, hello from Bangkok, Thailand, spending Thanksgiving there. K Hop saying, "It was surprising when I saw Eric have Denver at 13-4 because I honestly didn't think we would have been that close." Yeah, after the 1-2 start, I got a lot of flack for saying 13-4, and some people in chat owe some apologies for it. But no, it's not surprised. I mean, obviously Denver won some games that I didn't think they would, lost some games I didn't think they would, but I'm not surprised they're standing here, even though I had a lot of questions about it. It's funny because I didn't think the defense would be as good as it is, but I thought the offense would be a little better than it was. And it's the defense is even better than it was, and the offense is at best stagnant from last year. So even then, Denver's still managing to win games, still a lot of games left. So Denver, maybe they fall short of 13-4 still by far. So it's still that possibility, but I've been sticking with it since the start of the season and even before the season started. I'm going to keep sticking with it now. We have Chase Muller saying, "Let's go, fellas." And Bleck saying that I thought 12-5 was the move. We have Roy Osborne. "I'm thankful for meeting you guys this year. I'm just thankful to be live after today's event. Oh, hope everything.
Oh, hey,
you're here, so everything's good. But hope whatever happened was just a fleeting moment and not something with lingering issues or effects going forward."
Yeah, shoot me a text, Roy.
And then we have Phoenix Fire coming in. "Hey guys, I'm excited to see what we do out of the bye. I hope Peyton was cooking over Thanksgiving and the team got rejuvenated over the bye. My biggest concern this week is getting out of there with no injuries." Speaking of injuries, Patrick Surtain's back, Alex Singleton's back. They have no designation. Unfortunately, Nate Adkins is still out, and Jonah Ellis is questioned. Those are the only two players with designations going into this game. So reinforcements on the way, as we were hoping for coming out of the bye week. Meanwhile, the Commanders, they will still be without Jaden Daniels. They will still be without Noah Brown. They'll be without Drake Jackson. They have a couple other players who are questionable, but the big one for them is they are getting Terry McLaurin back, who he can be a threat for this team. But I'm with you here. At this point, we really got to stay healthy going forward. We don't have a bye week to give us that break. But what's more than that is a lot of teams this year coming out of the bye week, they've played poorly. Hopefully the Broncos can buck the trend a little bit, especially with Sean Payton. He tends to have a history of a little bit of an underwhelming performance coming out of bye weeks throughout his time as a head coach. So hopefully those trends get bucked, because the Commanders, they are not a good team.
Yeah.
They are old and slow on defense. There is a lot of questions with their offense. They have some good pieces, like 4 of their 5 pieces on the offensive line are fine, but they have one glaring weakness in their right tackle, and Josh Connerly, the rookie out of Oregon.
Yep.
So hopefully that they can, I'm with you. Hopefully they were cooking. Hopefully they're rejuvenated. Hopefully they can buck the trends of the season and Sean Payton's career with coming out of bye weeks, and they can get to that 10-2 record.
Yeah, Phoenix jumping off the top rope here with a $20 super chat. And I have kind of a I don't want to say a bold prediction, but I have a really good feeling about this team coming out of this bye week. And Eric, I know you said they have some, Sean Payton has a history of underwhelming performances coming out of the bye week, and you're not wrong, but they still win a lot of football games because Sean Payton is still a really good coach. It may not be the flashiest, but they do win a lot of games there. Now, to me, I think the big thing here is going to go back to what we saw with Bo Nix against the Kansas City Chiefs off of the mini bye week following the Raiders game. And I said last week that Bo Nix and his game against the Chiefs was arguably his best game as a professional in terms of mechanically just delivering the football and being on time. He didn't have a lot of those issues when he was pushing the football down the field, where it looked like he was a baseball player trying to throw at a guy at home plate and running into throws and just juicing up the throw and getting it way overthrowing all of his receivers. If he can continue that, and go back to even to last season after the bye week, Bo looked a lot more calm. Then he had that game against the Bengals. He had the game against the Chargers where he looked really, really good in both of those games and played really well down the stretch. I'm kind of hoping, but also based on previous experiences with this offense and with what it has grown to over the course of the season, I actually think that this could be a game where the Broncos can hit some of those explosive passing plays, push the ball down the field, and really start to gain some traction to make this thing look like what it did last season to close out the season.
Yeah, the issue that I have with that is last I saw, and I'm pulling it up now.
Go ahead.
Is it's supposed to be a very wet and rainy game.
That's true. That is true.
And it is supposed to be not consistently windy, but it's supposed to be very gusty. And so those deep shots, maybe you don't go look that way too much. Maybe you use shorter games for the extensions of the running game and look to run the ball and use those shorter passes and quicker game for that.
Yeah.
And when the weather is right, aim for those explosive plays. But it is something that you definitely got to go back. And one thing you said is, when I mentioned that Sean Payton after the bye, he's still like 12-3, I think, after the bye week.
Something like that.
So he's still, you're right. He's still winning games. Just the performances aren't what you expect out of them, which as long as you're winning games, you can deal with you can deal with underwhelming performances.
Well, and we've seen that literally all year. I mean,
we've seen it this year, just a couple of weeks ago with Thursday Night Football.
Over and over and over again. It seems like it's underwhelming performances, but this coaching staff is doing such a great job, especially on the defensive side of the football, but they're making the right decisions, pushing the right buttons. And now that you get Sean Payton with a week to plan out a game against a team that you should dominate, I expect to see at least a much better performance. Not withstanding the rain here. I forgot about that. So my apologies. It is supposed to be really rainy and windy in Washington on Sunday.
Which
so
it can always change. I don't know how the weather is over in DC, but Alaska, the weather can change here in a moment's notice. So maybe it's the same over on the East Coast. I don't know. I've never been to the East Coast. So maybe that is. But Lance, before we continue on and getting into this Commanders game, 3 big pieces of news this week, besides, the Patrick Chan coming back and a couple guys coming back from injury. Denver got 3 extensions done. Now, real quick, give me your thoughts on the Will Lutz extension, and then we'll move on to the other ones, and then we'll have another point here that I want to get into before we get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation. That is the Commanders game.
Well, with the Will Lutz thing, I talked about it last week. You're talking about one of the most consistent kickers in the NFL right now. I understand he's missed 3 kicks this season. One of them was a 56-yarder. He hit the post against the Indianapolis Colts, and that would have potentially won them the game if he would have hit that. I know it was, I think, the third quarter when that happened, but that was the difference in the game, was missing a field goal when you needed it and then getting a leverage penalty on the last play of the game. So to me, with what Will Lutz is, he's been very consistent. He's a Sean Payton guy. He's, just a guy that you want to have in this locker room too. He's well liked by all of his teammates from every account that I've ever seen. So I like it. Puts him in the top, I think, 6 in the NFL in terms of kicker salaries per year. So Well deserved. He's not even 30 yet, is he? I don't think so. So you get him on a I don't think so. Or is he? Regardless,
I think he's like mid-30s, I think.
Is he really? Interesting. Regardless, I mean, you get him on a 3-year deal. It's
he's 31.
Is he really? Good for him. Good for him.
He's younger than us.
Yeah, he is younger than both of us. But
anyways,
what did we do wrong to not be able to kick a football that far? Damn it.
Genetics. I'll blame genetics. It's my parents' fault. But with the Will Lutz extension, no issues with it because, as you said, he's been consistent for them even since coming to Denver. But the biggest thing is we don't have to go through that period where we're carrying 2 kickers because we can't have one do kickoffs. We can't and the field goals. We had to have one separate. We don't have to go back to that dark time that Denver had. So I will gladly take the Will Lutz extension. And then the last one that happened, we'll come back to the one on offense. Malcolm Roach was the latest extension. And so what are your quick thoughts about Malcolm Roach's extension?
To me, I think it's a little bit rich for a player of his caliber, but he still is a really good run defender at that nose tackle position. It's a player that you need to have within this offense. He fits a very specific, or this defense, excuse me. He fits a very specific role with what Van Joseph wants to do, playing that nose tackle position. And he does it very, very well. He's one of the better run defenders in the NFL. It's a little bit rich for me, but if you're going to go around and you got these players that are good locker room pieces, they fit exactly what you want this team to do. And you're trying to rebuild this culture of do the right things, continue doing what you do, continue doing them well. We're going to reward you for that. So for me, little rich, I'm not going to complain too much though. So it is what it is. I like that they're going to do that. I'm just waiting on them to do the same thing for Jonathan Franklin Myers.
We'll come back to that because there are some things that are definitely in that. But the thing is, Malcolm Roach's contract, 3 years, $24 million up to a little bit over 29.
Yep.
I wouldn't have minded if Denver handed him a 3-year, $39 million contract. He is that.
Oh, really? So you
I think Denver got a major steal from it, and based on some things that I've seen and from people coming out on Twitter with others saying, it sounds like Denver got him on with a major hometown discount. With I can't remember who it was. Somebody came out and made a report that there was a belief that he could have got over $15 million if he hit the open market.
Man, that seems a little rich for me. I think he's a very, very good player, but limited.
Let me tell you this. Our valuation of players is hardly ever the same of the NFL.
Oh, that's true.
And if anything, if we weren't taught enough this offseason, it is that teams will pay for locker room, for high character players that can come in and make an impact in both aspects of the game, which is exactly what Malcolm Roach is. We saw a lot of guys this offseason get paid a lot more than we thought. With the salary cap continuing to raise, we're going to keep seeing that trend. Malcolm Roach, obviously we can't say for sure. He's not hitting the open market, so we have no idea if it's true. I firmly believe that he had the possibility of getting that. And at the very least, I think that $13 million to 3 for 39, I think that was the minimum he would have gotten.
Really, that's crazy. With a player, this is no slight to Malcolm Roach, guys. I'm not trying to crap on his performance. He's a really, really good run defender. He just doesn't bring enough upside as a pass rusher. I think he has 5.5 career sacks. To have a player with that kind of pass,
he's a nose tackle.
Well, I understand that, but 5.5.
How many nose tackles are have more than 5.5 career sacks after 6 seasons?
Well, true nose tackles. The only one I could think of off the top of my head doesn't even play because he's retired. Is Vince Wilfork. But at the same time, that's not the player you're looking for. That's not the player you're getting.
That's not the player Malcolm Roach is.
Exactly. So that's what I'm kind of getting at. So you're going to say that he was worth a $13 million contract in this market? Yes, it's a very elevated market with the salary cap going up. A 2-down limited player as a run.
He's not a 2-down limited player.
Not okay. You understand where I'm coming from here, though, right? He's not
because you're underselling his ability as a pass rusher. He wasn't brought in for run defense. He was brought in as a pass rusher with DJ Jones being the run defender.
That's true. That is true. You're not wrong.
Okay, and last year, Malcolm Roach struggled against the run, and he was the pass rusher last year. Mm-hmm. So they believe it. He's just not. I don't think he's played a whole lot of obvious passing downs this year because the way the Broncos are using it.
Yeah, Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. That's a big part of my argument here is that they don't use him as in true passing situations like that.
Because they have John Frankenmeyers, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, and Zach Allen. Who are you taking off the field of those four to put Malcolm Roach in an obvious in third and long situation?
Yeah, brother, you're reading my brain. You're reading my brain. I get it. I understand. I'm just like based on.
But that's why you can't. That's why you can't hold it against him that he's not doing much as a pass rusher, and so he's not worth $13 million.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
In run defense metrics, he's top 10 for interior defensive linemen when adjusted for snaps.
Yep.
Like
a hell of a football
run
player.
defense matters. Run defense gets people paid. Anyways, going over to the other side of the ball, I know that you're going to be upset to hear this too, but this is another player that Denver, by all accounts, Denver got on a hometown discount. Luke Wattenberg, $12 million on an average per year basis. He's another one where there was a couple people that came out and said that had he hit the open market, he had a chance to be a top 3 paid center in the NFL.
Yep. Well,
this is an indictment of two things, though. Offensive line play across the NFL is down, and center play across the NFL is really down. So it wasn't so much his play, but it was just desperation for quality starting centers, which is what Luke Wattenberg is.
He is more specifically just quality, the run-of-the-mill average, we'll call it, as a run blocker, but he's one of the best interior offensive linemen in pass protection. He's always been a solid pass protector, especially over the last couple of years. But look at what we just saw happen a couple of years ago with the Broncos. Lloyd Cushenberry got paid as wasn't he the highest paid center?
I think he was the highest paid center at the time.
Yeah, so at the time he was the highest paid center, and you and I both were like, he's not that great of a player. He's just like your run-of-the-mill starting average center in the NFL, and it's just his turn to get paid. With Wattenberg, I think that at the $12 million you got him, a little bit rich for my blood. I thought maybe 8, 9, 10, somewhere around in there. It is what it is, though. And here's the reason why I actually like this. Because now, Eric, and I know that you and I have gone back and forth on Ben Powers. You have Garrett Bowles, Ben Powers, Luke Wattenberg, Quinn Miners, and Mike McGlinchey all under contract through at least 2027. So you already have 3 years in a row, which you brought up in the group chat the other day. It's rare to have 3 years of continuity on the offensive line in general.
Sorry to interrupt. Through 2026, not through 2027.
That's right, because Powers is on an expiring deal next year. Excuse me. Yes. So regardless, you get him the rest of this year and all of next year, pending he comes back healthy from that biceps injury. That's 4 years in a row of continuity on the offensive line. It's unprecedented at the NFL, and I like that they went and made, again, a well-liked player in the locker room, a vocal player that does a really good job in pass protection. He sets up the offensive line really well and makes his line checks. He's a good player. And you're going to keep him on this roster for another couple of years and build behind Bo Nix and utilizing that rookie contract to save you a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, and then, by the time that Bo Nix is out of that rookie contract, when that extension is going to be kicking in here in little over 3 years now, well, by that point, hopefully you have enough guys to rotate in and replace some of these older, expensive veterans and make your offensive line cheap, where you still have when that quarterback takes up the hit. Right now, you can afford 5 players on the offensive line.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's 100% Ben Powers is back next year. I just think it is very unlikely for them to move on from Ben Powers. But we're going to get into John Frankenmeyers. But before we do that, one thing, though, with having Walmart owners, with the Walter Penner Group, it's one thing that's great for them is they have a lot of cash on hand. And speaking of cash on hand,
yeah, guys, the holidays are all about finding the perfect gift. But this time of year, not every deal is actually what it seems. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites, giveaways that are too good to be true. Just unfortunate. It's terrible, guys. But luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. Stay one step ahead of the scams this season and keep your money secured with Cash App.
For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit Cash App/legal/podcast for full disclosures. And thank you, Cash App, for the sponsorship.
Thank you, Cash App.
It's basically guaranteed that John Frankenmeyers is gone.
I hate this so much, dude.
And it's frustrating because one thing, when you are building a roster that is going to stand the test of time, when you let veterans walk, it's because you have a young guy on a cheaper deal ready to step in. The Broncos do not. That doesn't mean Savion Jones can't end up being that guy, but he is not in a position to be a starter next year. If he was showing up enough, the Broncos would find a way to get him out there on the field. And this morning, and when I was talking with Nick about that, somebody came in and said, well, who would you make inactive? The majority of NFL teams have 6 or 7 defensive linemen active a game. The Broncos have 5. They can easily figure it out. They can look to 31 other teams to figure that out, to get Savion Jones on the field at least a little bit. Broncos don't. Now, that means Savion Jones should be in line for a rotational role next year. Maybe part of their plan is a defensive line where Uwazurike is on running downs and then Savion Jones comes in. I'm not a big fan of that. Maybe they're looking at ahead of some free agents where there's some veteran free agents, which there are a lot, that might sign 1-year deals that Sean Payton likes and has worked with before. And some of them Denver's made a run at over the past couple of years since Sean Payton's came into town. Maybe that's the way that they're looking. But whatever way you slice it, the Broncos are going cheap here with the defensive line by not also paying John Frankenmeyers, which, again, they can do. We talked about with the offensive line with the rookie quarterback contract. You can do the same thing with the defensive line. Keep the strength, but the Broncos are choosing to go cheap here.
Yeah, it doesn't help right now with John Franklin-Myers. He's very vocal on Twitter, and I haven't seen anything recently, but for the most part, when guys are getting paid, it's like he's got the eye emojis out there. He's like, "Hey, it's my turn next," or like, "Hey, I'm sitting right here." Like he's consistently doing stuff like that, and I don't want to say it's like a bad locker room mentality, but it is kind of a me first thing, and that could rub some teams the wrong way. I'm not going to say anything specific because I don't know that to be the case here, but just the optics from a guy on the outside looking in. We cover the team on a daily basis. That it just seems like something for him that might be causing some kind of a problem here. I hate it though. He is an elite pass rusher. He is so good he doesn't need to be the top option. Zach Allen is plenty capable of doing that. But as a second player that you can throw out there in a 4-guy rotation that is consistently in the backfield, not only as a pass rusher, but in the running game, it kind of pisses me off a little bit because everybody wants him back. The fan base, a lot of players in the locker room, they all want him back. They want him to get paid. They see that he is that kind of a player. So to see that the Broncos are kind of hesitant and wanting to pull the trigger on that, and it sounds like he might be willing to take a little bit less every now and again. Like he just wants to be a part of this team more than anything. It's frustrating. It really is. And especially because, again, you've got the Walton Penner family ownership group. That's the richest ownership group in literally all of professional sports. There's no one that has more money in their coffers than the Walton Pennership group. Like they need to do this. I think they absolutely need to do this. If they don't, I'm going to be really sad and maybe a little bit pissed off. But, man, you can't let a player of that caliber go. Not like that.
That's the thing. Is like we can understand it's a business decision. Doesn't mean that it's not a cheap one. And again, they have no business being cheap. And what's more is you kind of touch on some character stuff, but he's a high character player. If you listen to what he had to say about Savion Jones and being a mentor and how he's, he had those mentors in him when he first got to the New York Jets and he wants to pass that down. When you hear his teammates talk about him and some of them even saying, yeah, he deserves it. When you have Zach Allen and Malcolm Roach and Nick Bonito and Cortland Sutton talk about taking less than they could have gotten on the open market to keep the band together. And there's been, I can't remember who it was, but one of the Broncos beat guys came out and made a comment that they all mentioned John Frankenmeyers by name when they were during those conversations about taking less to help keep the band back together. He is loved in this locker room. And at the very least, it is a disservice to not even have contacted him about a contract.
Yeah.
That's to me is what's most frustrating. They haven't even talked to him about a contract yet.
Yeah.
They're just sitting by and they're just going to let him walk from appearances.
Mhm.
But enough of that. We have a game coming up. We're going to look into this. We're going to kick it off. Denver Luke coming in with $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Denver Luke. We appreciate that. Is Vaughn going to let off the gas this game? Let's hope so. He talked about how much he wanted to return to Denver and even as a limited role, but he understands the business side of it. And he understands, the special teams aspect and coming in as a 4th or 5th guy and all that. So he understood it. He has no animosity towards Denver. So, which is all great. So he should let the gas off, but if anybody's actually expecting him to, he shouldn't. I've seen and not saying that you're doing this, Denver Luke, but over the last couple of days since Miller, that interview came out, I've seen a bunch of players saying that he should fake it in, like a bunch of fans like being serious about how he should fake an injury and, miss tackles and stuff like that and help Denver win this game because the Commanders are 3-8 and going nowhere.
Well, the thing about Von Miller going to let off the gas is you just don't allow your offense to be in obvious pass rushing situations because that's literally the only time Von's even on the field for them. He's playing like 8 snaps a game, maybe if that. So if you don't want Von Miller to tear apart Mike McGlinchey or go at Garrett Bowles, don't put yourself in obvious passing downs, and he's not going to see the field to begin with. So there's that aspect that I kind of want to get into. And diving back into what he said, you said that he wanted to be a Bronco. He reached out to George Payton. There was a short conversation. That this was all on his podcast. You have guys like Jonah Ellis. You have guys like Dondre Tillman. You have Q Robinson, who has been playing really well in the absence of Jonah Ellis. They play more and they do more on special teams. And that was something that Von Miller specifically said. So I'm not worried about Von Miller. I'm not worried about this pass rush in general. It's not a good defense. This defense is terrible. If we want to get into that aspect of it, they're bottom 10 against the run. They're bottom 10 against the pass. I believe they have. I had it pulled up here. Give me just 1 second so that I can find the sack percentage. And now all of a sudden my computer doesn't want to work out. But anyways, so in sack percentage they are 12th. In quarterback time to pressure they are in the bottom 10. This pass rush does not scare me in any way, shape, or form. This run defense doesn't scare me in any way, shape, or form. You have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You should be able to dominate up front. Point blank, period.
So I'm going to give you credit for something he said about Von Miller. He's only playing like 5 snaps a game. So that means he's played like 50 games this season.
How many snaps does he have? I know it's not a lot.
He's averaging almost 25 snaps a game.
Is he really? God, it doesn't
He's like
a
40% player for them. And he's actually increased his snap counts actually increased a little bit since Dorrance Armstrong.
Oh, that's right. But
I mean, he was even going back, even early in the season, he was still over 20. He's had 2 games under 20 this season.
Well, I apologize.
He's playing a lot for them. He's he's that third man in their pass rush rotation, or he was before Dorrance Armstrong got by. But
it just seems like even with that kind of impact that he's having on a snap count basis, there's no actual statistical impact to his game. It's like he disappears on the field.
He's their leading guy in pressures.
With how many?
24.
Oh, good Lord, that's nothing.
It's a pressure under once every 10 pass rush snaps. He only has 179 pass rush snaps and 24 pressures in that. That's far from nothing.
Okay. Yeah. It just I don't know.
Great. Just for context here, great pass rushers average a pressure every 8 snaps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So somebody can do the math. 24 pressures on 179 pass rush snaps. What's the pressure rate there? It's under 10 because 10 would be 240.
Yep.
So he's making an impact. The thing is, and to your point about keeping him out of the run situations, he doesn't play the run.
Exactly.
So keep yourself out of obvious pass rush situations, and you're going to keep him off the field because even without Dorrance Armstrong out there out there, he's still not seeing the field in the run situations. But it is a day after a holiday, and we all well, actually I shouldn't say we all. A lot of people love their Thanksgiving leftovers. I actually am one of them, even though I don't like the holiday. I love Thanksgiving leftovers. It's been a long day for me on maybe 2 hours of sleep after a long day yesterday. We're going to get out of here soon. We're still going to talk a little bit more about this Commanders game. We're going to cover a couple more things here, But we're probably down to the last 10 minutes. So you guys have any burning questions, make sure you get them in. And of course, super chats and stars are the one way to guarantee we get to them. But for me with this game, there is no reason the Commanders should be in this game unless the Broncos allow them to be in the game by self-inflicted wounds. This is a really bad Commanders defense or team. Their defense is slow. They're awful. Quan Martin, who was expected, going to be one of their stars on defense, he's just playing the guessing game out there, guessing where he's going to be, where the ball is going to go, and trying to make a play, and he's getting burned for it. Sanderson still is the best defender by far, but I think he has a bunch of plays on the ball, but he's allowed like 3 or 4 touchdowns as well. So he's more boom or bust. Their defensive line is awful. Their linebackers are old and slow. Bobby Wagner is nowhere near the same quality player that he was. I said this morning. If I'm Denver, if I'm Sean Payton, I am doing whatever I can to get Evan Ingram or RJ Harvey isolated against Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
Because both of them, even with Evan Ingram looking like he has, where he's definitely doesn't have much left in the tank, you still have a major advantage against Bobby Wagner because they could probably trot me out there. And if they can get me isolated against Bobby Wagner, I could probably give them one big play before he absolutely kills me because I wouldn't be able to take a hit from him because he still hits hard. But I can give them one big play before I get knocked out.
Well, I think that to kind of pair off of this, it's not just Bobby Wagner. I mean, if Frankie Lou's out on the field, you got to try to figure out a way to get him isolated one-on-one with Evan Ingram because Frankie Lou is dog butt terrible in coverage. He is a more athletic version of Alex Singleton, a guy that just likes to chase the ball. He does a lot of crazy run around plays, and he is definitely all over the field. But he is not a coverage linebacker by any stretch of the imagination, at least not to what I've seen. Like he's not very good. So you can attack both of these inside linebackers with Evan Ingram. And quite honestly, give me Cortland Sutton against those two guys with the separation ability that he has, or Pat Bryant. If you can get those guys isolated one-on-one in the slot, take advantage of that without question, because those guys can separate and get away from those guys. And if it's a see-ball, chase-ball deal, Pat Bryant, he may not be the fastest guy, but he knows how to run with the football in his hands. He understands angles and attack angles into safeties and into the secondary. Absolutely. You got to target both of these linebackers in the passing game.
Yeah, wasn't able to do as much work into the Commanders and like their formation usage and how much they're in nickel, how much they're in base and all that stuff like that, like I normally do because of the holiday yesterday. Obviously, I wasn't going to sit here and isolate myself from my family and, do all that digging into it and stuff like that. So I don't know that, but from what I saw when I did watch them on Tuesday and Wednesday, is they do like to stay in base a good amount, and that is their best opportunity to get, Bobby Wagner isolated. And it doesn't matter who. I used Evan Ingram and RJ Harvey as the example because they're the most common ones that are going to be isolated against a linebacker. But as you said, if you can get Cortland Sutton, if you can get Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, if you can get anybody, seriously, anybody, maybe Mercedes Lewis, the 90-year-old, can be isolated against them and make a pick about that and make an impact on it. Denver Luke saying, can we do a 2-round mock draft? Unfortunately, not tonight. If it wasn't, the day after Thanksgiving and I didn't have a bunch of pies sitting next to me. So if I start drooling, there's some good, delicious looking pies, like probably a foot to my left.
There's like 6 pies directly next to him right now.
There are 6
pies. He showed me that there are pies sitting directly next to me. Like, I'm going to start eating pie on the show tonight, by the way, just because
I'm tempted, man. There's a pumpkin, there's a cherry. But anyways, I digress. Anybody against them, then you can. And then flipping over to the offensive side of real quick to attacking with this defense, I am concerned about Terry McLaurin, especially if they can get him isolated against Riley Moss. I know everybody's making a big deal about the boxing gloves in practice and everything like that, but bad habits are hard to break. And Riley Moss has a bad habit, and it starts with a lack of trust in his eyes. Cody Alexander and another defensive backs coach, I watched their breakdowns of Riley Moss. He's like, his lower body technique isn't great. And for corners, it starts in the lower body. You trust your feet, which leads to trust in your hips, which leads to trust in your trust in your arms, to trust in your hands, to trust in your eyes, or something to that extent. I can't remember exactly how they put it.
Right.
And they highlighted that he's not playing well with the lower half, which is leading to issues with the hands. So when those boxing gloves come off, literally in this sense, since he's been practicing with them supposedly, I fear that he's gonna revert to his old bad habits and start grabbing on, because it's been constant. Even going back to his time at Iowa, he had a tendency to be a bit of a grabber. Bad habits are hard to break.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doesn't help that Eric, you're going to want to punch me through the computer screen when I say this. He's got the reputation right now.
No, that's exactly true. It's like Garrett Bowles with holding there for the longest time.
Yeah,
you don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. So even when he does play with good technique, and you get the slight subtle grabs, like on the chest play, that one's easy. That the one against the was that Kansas City the other day?
The one against Kansas City where he grabs it as the ref's running this way and he's
Yep.
grabbing and pulling back.
Yeah, so that's an easy call, but they're looking for that. These referees are now looking for that because it's being brought to their attention before every single game. Like coaches get an opportunity to say, "Hey, by the way, watch out for this player doing this particular thing because it's a penalty and it needs to be called." And now the referees are alerted to that. They know that, hey, by the way, he has this tendency to be a grabber, especially on deep shots, and it's going to get called now pretty much every time. So it's frustrating because when I watch him, I don't see the technical issues that Cody Alexander does, but I need to go watch what he actually had to say. I didn't get to see this podcast. I need to go watch and see what he actually had to say because I thought his face guarding technique was really, really good early in the season because he was keeping his hips tight. He was getting spun around and getting his head back and keeping his hands off. Over the last handful of weeks, it's been worse, and he's been showing that grabby tendency, and it's going to start getting called. Again, to your point, that bad tendency, that bad habit is really, really hard to break, and I'm curious to see what it looks like this week, especially against Terry McLaurin, who can beat him over the top.
Now, before I continue on Riley Moss real quick, if for some reason you desire to see Ben Johnson shirtless, go over to Twitter and look up the NFL account. I clicked over to Twitter while you were talking, and that's the first thing I see is Ben Johnson taking his shirt off.
Did you hear why? Did you hear why?
I don't care why.
So there's a hot dog stand called the Wiener something in Chicago, famous Chicago hot dog stand that said if the Bears beat the Eagles and Ben Johnson takes off his shirt, everyone gets free hot dogs for a day.
Oh, okay. Anyways, going back to Riley Moss, part of the issue here and that we've touched on is benefit of the doubt. Another big issue here, and when you sit there and you say, well, why wasn't this guy called? Well, look at where they're grabbing on in an obvious pass interference, and look at where the ref's at. They hide it. Yep. If you're going to break the rules, don't get caught. Like that's it. Sometimes it's that simple. If you're going to hold, if you're going to commit pass interference, whatever you're going to do, don't get caught doing it. Don't be so blatant. So maybe that should be part of what Riley Moss is trying to be taught here. But the last thing I want to get into with this Commanders game, we touched on already, the offensive line. Jonathan Cooper against Josh Connerly should be win after win after win after win for Denver's favor. He's allowed like 35 pressures on the season. He has no anchor to halt Jonathan Cooper's speed to power conversion that he does. On top of the fact that Jonathan Cooper is one of the top 3 in get off speed and average get off speed. I think he's still number 1. He might have fallen second behind Myles Garrett. And then add in the fact that what makes Jonathan Cooper as good as he does is just how he completely breaks down offensive tackles technique. Even offensive linemen who are good with their technique, he breaks them down and makes them and forces them to make mistakes. Josh Connerly's technique is absolutely atrocious. That's a major advantage for them. Nick Bonito, Q Robinson, Dondre Tillman, they all have an advantage with Connerly because he's been that bad this season.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Cooper against them, that should just be a constant win for the Broncos, especially if Vance Joseph dials up those double A mug simulated pressures that he does that gets offensive lines to collapse inside, because they really like to pull, I believe it's Sam Cosmi, the right guard. They really like to pull him to give Connerly that inside protection. So if you can pull those guys inside and leave that inside route available for a counter, Cooper should take over this game.
I think that a really fun matchup to watch from this Broncos defense, especially on the defensive line here, is John Franklin Myers versus Sam Cosmi. Because what John Franklin Myers does well in terms of converting speed to power, utilizing his hands, the first step explosiveness, and with Sam Cosmi's quick twitch and hand placement, that's going to be a battle on the all-22. I'm really excited to take a look at whenever those two get to go up one-on-one in obvious pass rushing situations, because I think that that's a matchup that John Franklin Myers should be able to win. I don't want to say with like relative ease, but I will say consistency. I think that he can be Sam Cosmi consistently with his hand techniques and the quick twitch, first step, speed to power explosiveness that he has.
Yeah, but that is going to do it for us here. Before we do, just some last few things. Roy Osborne saying it's too early for mock drafts. It is never too early for mock drafts. As you know, I'm doing this. I'm sitting here and looking at a sheet that has about 2,500 names on it that I'm working on sorting through and putting into my list. And yeah, it's never too early. It's never too early for mock drafts for me.
You literally just did an article a couple of days ago with 5 first-round players that the Broncos could look at to help bolster the roster. Just early get your names out there kind of a deal. And I agree with like 4 of the ones you had. Amari Washington from Oregon's a good one. Kenyon Sadiq is another one.
No,
Jeremiah
you agree
Love.
with all 5 and you're going to like it.
So I got to remember who they were. It's Amari Washington, Kenyon Sadiq. Go check it out, milehighhuddle.com, guys. It's up there right now. It's live. You had Jeremiah Love. I believe it was Carnell Tate was one. So that's 4. Who was the 5th one? I don't remember.
Sonny Styles.
That's right, Sonny Styles. That's the one that I'm like, I love Sonny Styles. That dude's awesome. But give me another interior defensive piece to keep building the trenches here, and then all the offensive weapons. That's what I want to see in mock drafts from here on out.
Yeah, I get it. But Pearl Heater coming in way too early. Thank you for a great show. Thank you for Pearl for joining in.
Thanks,
Ralph
Pearl.
saying good afternoon, gentlemen. Happy Thanksgiving. I think RJ needs this actual experience as the number 1. He'll be fine. I sure hope so. The running has not been great, but man, has he proven himself as a threat as a receiver. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, Ralph, with you and your family. George Fox saying thanks for the invite to the game this week. Martin saying there's no need to say Vaughn. Ain't like they're going to the playoffs. That's true. That's a bad team, and it's really showing how much Shane Daniels lifted up that team last year, which credit to him. Mike Warren saying great show tonight, Eric and Lance on the WLD Divers. Go Bo Broncos. But that is going to do it for us, as I do hear the pie sitting next to me calling me, and they're going, Eric. And I've denied the fat me in myself for so long. It's time for me to indulge a little bit, but anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. But before we get at it, we do have some final words, of course. And I gotta do a lot of stuff here. You guys can, to all the members over on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate you guys. And if you guys are not a member yet, you guys can go over to youtube.com/@milehighhuddle to become a member. You guys can get access to exclusive content like Kelberman's Quarter and Broncos Book Club, as well as other stuff that will be coming after this season. You guys can always super chat and send stars on Facebook, super chat on YouTube. That helps support the channel, help us keep the lights on, help us be able to do what we do. You guys can also take a matter of time, subscribe, like, and share. It helps us with the algorithms, especially on Facebook and YouTube, that are ever changing and ever being frustrating on our end. You guys can also take a few seconds to go over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review for a chance to win some gear each month. Not swag. I hate saying swag. You guys can also follow us on Instagram at Mile Huddle with an underscore between Mile High and Huddle. And you guys, if you are able to do so, it is the holiday season. Officially, it's kicked off. Santa went down in the Macy's Day Parade. Christmas is kicked off. It's holiday season. If you guys are looking for gifts and your friends and family are fans of Mile Huddle, you guys can go to mhhmerch.com to get some merch like we have on. Merch, not swag. I hate saying swag. You guys can also go follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile Huddle, facebook.com/Mile Huddle Pod, where you guys can get access to the wonderful Facebook community that we've built up over the last 10 plus years. You guys can also follow us on Twitter, X, whatever it is you want to call it, at Mile Huddle, at DVDD_pod, and Lance and myself at Lance S_MHH, and at Erick Trickel. That is a CK and then an EL out there at the end. And of course, the MHH Pod. We are one of the many Mile High Huddle podcasts that come to you every single night during the week and twice in the morning. Lance, before we get out of here, any last words? No.
Yes,
okay.
I want to. Easy.
The pie is calling me.
I hear you, dude. Just let me quickly touch on this. You brought up Ralph's comment talking about how he thinks RJ needs this actual experience as a number 1. He'll be fine. Going back and watching what the Miami Dolphins were able to do, especially up front with the outside zone, and watching Devon Achane run as well as he did, leads me to believe that this could be a really big RJ Harvey game, especially if they do run some more outside zone. it helps open up your vision. It helps open up the explosiveness that you have. And that could be a big ticket, especially with the rain supposed to be out there on Sunday night. So just quickly on that. Outside of that, no, nothing else. You all stay safe and take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, go Broncos. We'll see you guys next week.
We didn't do bold predictions, but one of my bold predictions is in an article that will be coming out on milehuddle.com. Make sure you guys go check it out. Is RJ Harvey breaks 100 yards receiving, not rushing, in this game, as he is used as an extension of it. And that on the running aspect, Bo Nix is the leading rusher in this game. That is another one of the other offensive bold predictions, since I only do 2 offense, 2 defense, and 1 team. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys had a wonderful Friday night. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving for those who celebrate. And those who don't, I hope you guys had a wonderful Thursday. I will see you guys Monday morning, bright and early, hopefully to talk about another win, another victory Monday this week, and keep that winning streak alive and getting Denver to 10-2 and putting them in an even better position when it comes to the playoffs. Until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys stay safe. Don't drink and drive. And as my good friend Nick always says, choose kindness and compassion. And of course, go Broncos.